I what's really going on. Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. I'm going to be taking a look at Dogecoin against US dollar Tether on the Binance chart. I'm going to be taking a look at the technical aspects of price action moving forward. Going to be taking a look at some key levels I believe we're going to be interacting with in the near future here. We have lots going on with Dogecoin as we come out of this really dense, tight consolidation between these tight ranges over the past last couple months here. We finally seem to be making some really crazy upward strides. Momentum seems to be high, and we really need to be assessing kind of what's kind of happening here. Now, jumping right into it. To recap this kind of uptrend over the past kind of little bit here since sort of November of 2020, we've been skyrocketing since next to worthless, all the way up into over a cent, all the way to the multi-cent range, skyrocketing past 10 cents, swinging all the way up to 14 cents, which is ridiculous. Dogecoin has spent most of its lifetime worthless, trading next to nothing. It now skyrocketing to levels it never has been to before. We have sort of this last little bit of resistance here around pretty much around the 12 cent to 14 cents as we got projected off the 14 cents kind of level there. We now seem to be finding support along 12 cents hopefully. If this candle closes as a lower high, we could see some kind of short-term bearish consolidation or perhaps a very aggressive sell-off. We could see some traders take profit very quickly here. We can kind of come back down to these kind of lower ranges before we take off again. But this is insane, crazy gains up out of this range. We finally broke the 8 cents resistance. We just flew directly through it, just like smashed through it like it was nothing. Retested far above it, solidifying it as completely insignificant, like it was just yesterday's news. It's gone. If we come down to solidify it as support, then that would be even more long-term bullish. But I feel like we could easily have a pretty aggressive retracement here. We're up since the beginning of the month. We're up a good 140%. We've seen 170% since that swing high in kind of 2 weeks, and so this is insane gains for Doge still. It just doesn't want to cool off. So technically, from a technical aspect and that kind of perspective of things, it is way overbought. There's way too much FOMO present. There's tons of tops being bought. These Doge is being bought up very quickly here, and there's a lot of bullish momentum and pressure for Dogecoin right now, more than ever. From a fundamental perspective, we could see candles like these kind of at any point in time kind of continue, and there really has to be the technical analysis really kind of doesn't really can only get you so far here in this kind of scenario with the fundamental sort of randomness that is Dogecoin and the perceived value that it has. When we slap on EngineeringRobo, we see a new perspective come into play. We have all these buy signals present. We've had buy signals present since back in January of this year. Buy 4, sell 3 during consolidation as we traded sideways from the 1 cent swing high down to sub 1 cent. Super buy 3, all coming into play just before we skyrocket up to where we just blasted out of the 8 cent to 2 cent crazy range that we bounced briefly up and down through, but we spent most of our time trading between 4 cents and 6 cents kind of thing. And since then, we've had really significant resistance just above 6 cents. We've kind of been rejected from that along this kind of 5 cent support line for quite some time. We finally are now breaking upward, retesting, and finding support kind of around 7 cents there. But before we're finally able to blast through the last resistance between 7 and kind of 8 cents. Now we are setting new swing highs. We have these bull signals, super buy behind the bull, buy 3 now coming back, moon present, buy 4 still present, tons of buy signals coming into play. We could easily see another perhaps like 100% even on Dogecoin at this point. Realistically, Dogecoin could do anything at this matter. 12 cents could even still be low for it. We could even see the dollar Doge in the kind of very near future here. It seems like it. There's some nice volume kind of coming into play with these kind of candles here, not like these ones. However, but there's very minimal sell volume. There's not many traders selling during this range. This was very key accumulation, tight accumulation, and the longer we traded sideways, the more we accumulated, and the more we held this level as support. The stronger this upward break was and is going to be, and could very much continue to higher highs, and we could see some very insane gains continue for Doge very soon here. If you consider the price of Dogecoin against the relative price of Bitcoin, we have a kind of very similar kind of example. We have significant support found around 97 Satoshi, significant resistance seen under 122 Satoshi and above 112. This was the really tight range we traded in for the past kind of few months before skyrocketing, setting a what seems to be kind of a technical, almost kind of lower high. At this point, kind of between this swing high back in February, we are setting what appears to be kind of a lower high, sort of double top kind of retest there. Lower high relative to the obvious, more obvious candle back in the 29th of January. But I do believe this to be rather short-term bearish. Perhaps we could see some, perhaps a couple days of just sideways accumulation in a very sort of tight space here, as we sort of establish where the next sort of support is before we kind of take off. But I don't suspect Dogecoin to be sideways for very long after a big move like this. I suspect it's either going to continue directly upward or directly downward, in my opinion. When we slap on EngineeringRobo, along with these fettuccine lines, if I zoom out here, allow them to draw, come back in, we see new perspective. We have significant kind of significant levels around the 0.618 and the 0.786 lines that this the Fibonacci, Fettuccine, Fibba, Illuminati lines and sacred angles and geometry allow us to determine that this could be a key range that price could interact with moving forward. I believe we should be able to find support kind of around the 166 Satoshi level there. That seems to be like a significant level of support. If not, we can come down to 150 to the 140. Now we have the super buy 4, cloud buy now coming into play. Super buy 4 as we come out of this consolidation before we broke this significant resistance range. Now the cloud buy to support this kind of trend moving forward, and so we could easily see some continued long-term gains for Doge. In the short term, I do believe we're still very overbought, and some pullbacks, some sell-offs, traders taking profit is definitely pending, is definitely on the way. I do suspect some continued upward momentum, and I suspect this momentum to continue us upward to some more aggressive swing highs. I believe we can probably interact with the 260 Satoshi range pretty quickly here, depending on what Bitcoin decides it's going to be doing in the near future. In fact, if you take a look at Bitcoin on the Binance chart, we have set new all-time highs, brand new all-time highs. Things are going insane. We have a buy 4 closing on this candle finally. In a previous recording, we were seeing the buy 4 flash in kind of mid candle. We're now seeing it finally close. These next kind of today and yesterday, the two candles following the buy 4 close have are turning out to be quite pivotal. This is sort of a very pivotal moment for Bitcoin, and lots can happen here. I believe a multi-$1,000 move is going to kind of approach here in either upward or downward. I very much suspect we can find support, print a higher high, maybe get a little bit of a direction off there, and kind of fly through and upward. I believe we can very much see further all-time highs very soon here. But if momentum changes and we get this rejection off of kind of where we are right now, and we come back down to trade at these levels sub 60k, above in the high kind of 50s, if we fail to find support kind of around 57k, I do believe we can kind of consolidate bearishly and in a more bearish manner and kind of come downward and see some lower targets that we haven't seen in a while. But it's looking too bullish, and up is where it wants to go. I suspect an upward break, as we are breaking upward at this current moment. This seems to be a retracement, a perfect dip, a pullback to buy. There's a lot of buy pressure present here. Just as much sell pressure is also present. This was a very significant resistance that we had to break, but now we seem to be finally coming up and coming down to retest it. The candle alone is almost a perfect retest of kind of the all-time high resistance there. And so, yeah, very bullish, very bullish on Bitcoin short and long term at the moment. If we consider the fear and FOMO zone, FOMO here and FOMO zone all the way up there at 80k. 80k is when the real FOMO comes in. I believe that's when we're going to have the volatile spike up to the 100k kind of level there. But we can, rally up through the 70s, take some pit stops in the way, and then when we get to the 80s, that's when we really are going to start kicking off. Now, if we consider the FOMO zone against Dogecoin here, but on a different exchange, just for example, I guess let's just go to Bittrex, just because it happens to have enough data to print the fear and FOMO zone here. If we turn off these kind of other signals, we are well into the FOMO zone. There's there's just so much FOMO up in this zone. That's why there's, tops being bought. That's why its prices are spiking. That's why we're pumping so darn aggressively. But there's very serious sell pressure that is holding us sideways for these prolonged periods of time. So we could very much see another prolonged period of sideways at this kind of higher range as the FOMO zone wants to kind of rally upward toward price action. But the longer we are in this FOMO zone, the more volatile prices will be, and the crazier these moves can be. We could pump very aggressively in tens of percentages, hundreds of percentages in either direction. Realistically, at this point, we're so overbought, and there's very little kind of resistance present at certain ranges. These round levels around 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents, I believe, are going to be significant moving forward long term. But so far, we seem to be flying through these levels like it's nothing. So there could definitely be some more long-term levels for Dogecoin that we can be dreaming about. But in the short term, I see from a technical perspective, we are super overbought, and we could easily see a pullback, a very aggressive pullback dip. But that dip, I don't suspect that dip to last. Thank you for tuning in. Try EngineeringRobo. Link in the description. Check out all the social media down below. Subscribe here on YouTube. Wait for Dogecoin to solidify support before making an entry, in my opinion. But we could very much see another 100% candle very quickly here. Watch out for the FOMO. Don't buy tops. Thank you for tuning in, and tune in for the next one.